New information on a bill that would make English the official language of the United States. The House Judiciary Committee will consider legislation introduced by Iowa Congressman Steve King. King was behind the successful effort to make English the official language of Iowa when he was a state legislator there. Now he wants to take it nationwide. Joining us for a fair and balanced debate, Kate Obenshain, a former chairman of the Republican Party of Virginia, now vice president of the Young America's Foundation. Ryan Clayton is a veteran campaign consultant for Democratic candidates. Welcome to both of you.
Thanks for having us.
Ryan, would it be a bad thing if English were named the official language of the United States?
Well, look, I don't think this is really a conversation about what the language of our country is. You know, America is different than most countries throughout the world who are built around a shared language or built around a shared religion or built around a shared geography. You know, America is a nation of values, founded on an idea that all men and women are created equal. And we hold these truths to be self-evident that all people have rights, no matter what they look like or where they come from or what language they speak. And how we treat new immigrants that come to our country really reflects our values that define us as Americans. You know, we believe that families should stick together and that we should look out for each other and that hard work should be rewarded. And all this gamemanship and political game playing that's going on in Congress right now is not going to solve our problems.
But I didn't hear anything in there, Kate, that says, you know, that making new immigrants learn English is a bad thing.
I actually think that was a beautiful defense of having English as the official language. We are a nation that's built around a common value, a common sense of values, Christianity, Judeo-Christian values, and a common language. Of course, we welcome immigrants from all over the world, but there is an understanding that in order to assimilate and have the same chance at the American dream that other Americans have, you need to learn English. And by perpetuating this myth that we're just going to let anybody speak any language they want and the federal government is going to have to accommodate that in any way, spending billions of dollars to do it, it's a myth, but it also robs people of their real chance for prosperity. But the left is very good at pinging this very reasonable measure that 87% of Americans agree with as, for some reason, un-American.
So what's the practical import of this law? I mean, what's the practical import of this law? I mean, what are you going to do? Lock up people for speaking Spanish? Are you going to throw them in the gulag because they haven't learned English?
That's how you're going to have an
Is that what you want to do?
I
just want to know what this law actually does to people who don't speak English.
Did you not read the legislation? Because you know very well you're just injecting fear into what should be a reasonable intellectual discussion between two Americans who have the same sort of values. Nobody's talking about throwing anybody in jail. What we're talking about, what Congressman King is talking about, is a very reasonable expectation that if you want to become an American citizen, you need to understand the language. You need to be able to read some of our founding documents you so beautifully quoted. And why shouldn't we have this basic understanding of what it is to be an American? Why shouldn't all Americans understand their presidential candidates and what they're saying? Why shouldn't students in our classrooms have the same opportunity at success instead of being shuffled over to bilingual education, keeping them there for years instead of immersing them in our common language so that they can succeed?
Isn't it already a requirement, Ryan, that if you want to take the oath of citizenship in the United States, you're supposed to know English?
Hardly.
Well, everyone says the Pledge of Allegiance in English, you know, and when you take the test, I'm pretty sure that's in English too. But that's not really what this conversation is about. This conversation is really about immigrants and how we treat them when they come to our country. And you know, the same is true today as it's been throughout history. People move to make life better for themselves and their families, and they come here to put food on the table. They come here to provide for their families, and they come here to work hard and make a better life, you know, and that's hard to move. It's not an easy thing to do. And I think as Americans, we need to welcome people that come to our country. And one of the values that we hold dearest to our hearts is the belief in freedom to be who you want to be, no matter what you look like, to say what you want to say in any language, and to go where you want to go. You know, America's supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave, and I think that's a good thing, so I think we should keep it that way.
Kate?
And they should be able to speak any language they want, but they don't have a right to be understood by the federal government. There are hundreds of languages spoken in this country, and there can only be one that the federal government is required to understand. And also, John, one really important point is a common language unifies us. There's not this balkanization with different groups speaking different languages. A common language draws Americans together, and I think conservatives and certainly Congressman King would argue argue that right now America is split in so many different ways, and there's this ugly division that is being encouraged and fostered. We need a sense of unity of purpose, and yes, the part of the point of a common language is to allow our immigrants that opportunity that we were just talking about, because yes, when they do come here, we need to welcome them and provide them the same opportunities.
You both got your points out there in English. We understand them. Thank you both. And we should mention that Congressman King has introduced this legislation into the Congress every year since 2003. It has not passed yet, but we'll keep an eye on it, see what happens. Thank you both.
Thanks for having us.
Well, a lot of new information coming out today on the suspect in the Colorado shooting massacre. Up next, we're going to take a look